What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up Podcast. And if you celebrate it, happy Easter. If not, happy Monday. My name is Cameron, and I am joined, as ever, by Lewis.
Hello there.
Hello there. How are you doing?
I am doing mighty fine.
Did you have a good Easter/bank holiday, depending on your choices?
Yeah, I haven't got into my chocolate yet, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to eating a load of chocolate.
I was going to say, when you say we'll see, do you mean like we'll see if there's any there, or we'll see if it's good?
We'll see if I'm allowed.
How has your week been?
Yeah, okay. Just getting to it, getting working.
Are you glad of the week's break, or has it been a bit of a not week's break?
Yeah, it's been a break. More than it should be again, but it's alright.
Fair enough. And have you been playing anything?
Yes. We played a bit more Witcher, Dark Souls 3. Lots of that.
Lovely.
I like my games to be really stressful.
You like to get away from the stress of work to the stress of games.
Yes.
So I believe you have our news for us this week.
Yes, I do. So we shall start. Bandai Namco have released a trailer with the tagline "Prepare to Dine."
Prepare to Dine, of course, being an obvious rip on Prepare to Die, the tagline of the Dark Souls franchise. But there's a little more to this, considering the content of the teaser, am I right?
Yeah. It's... Alright, it looks interesting, and I'm really excited to see what they're doing, but it's very dark, there's some vampiric themes. I think that's kind of where like the Prepare to Dine part comes into it a little bit. So potentially, I guess, we're a vampire character.
Yeah. The teasery content contains a bunch of kind of steampunky, comic booky style artwork, which features a lot of kind of gas masky looking things, sort of steampunky London Victorian style stuff. Just sort of generally nasty, gritty horribliness. So, Lewis, you're a pretty big fan of this whole vampire stuff.
So yeah, this project looks really interesting. It's interesting as well because Bandai Namco do, the Dark Souls. They do the Dark Souls. And this, like, it kind of looks like they've taken Bloodborne and mixed it in a little bit with this vampire themes, which is fascinating. So there's a precedent for this. Previously, Bandai Namco took over from Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls was a PS4 exclusive, made by From Software with PS4, with Sony. And then Dark Souls was done with Bandai Namco and From Software. So it's quite possible that this could be the same thing again with taking Bloodborne, kind of mixing in some more overt vampire themes, some steampunk themes.
That's my question to you is this Bloodborne 2?
Having a look at the teaser trailer, it's very possible. It's very possible. It wouldn't be straight Bloodborne 2 though. As I say, it would be something else. But it would be like, the difference between Demon's Souls and Dark Souls. We're talking blood, flawn.
I mean, could it be Bloodborne 2?
No.
No?
Not really. No, I mean, It doesn't really fit into the themes too directly enough. I don't know. Well, I guess it could, actually. No, in fairness, I guess it could. But the thing is that in Bloodborne, there isn't really overt vampires. Not in, like, the same kind of, like, fangy way. But, I mean, it could be. But, like, the thing is as well, I mean, the fact that Bandai Namco's doing it would suggest that it can't be Bloodborne 2.
That's what I was going to say, is the other question about this, and I think a big thing of what it hangs on is there any involvement from Software? And it would seem no, because From Software have basically sort of said they want to step away from the franchise and from the Souls-style games.
Oh, they said they don't want to do Souls-style games. Because I can see them... They said the end of Souls. I'm not sure about that means the end of Bloodborne. Or that kind of style.
I thought that what they had said was not the end of Dark Souls, but the end of Souls, as in the end of that. I may be misconstruing what I've read. But I thought they were stepping away from the Souls style. Which they have precedent to do. From Software developed a huge amount of titles before they did Dark Souls. I mean, they even did what was the big one on Xbox? The one that had the massive control scheme. It was like a mech game. It was a big mech action game, and they developed that anyway. That's. I wonder where this is going. I wonder if it's Bandai Namco on their own. Is it going to be like the sort of gingerhead stepchild of the Dark Souls franchise? Like, is it going to be very much the Arkham Origins to the Arkham proper, the Assassin's Creed whatever it was to the Assassin's Creed proper? Is it very clearly like the cousin of the franchise, or is it so far dispatched in terms of themes and stuff that you can actually kind of separate the two?
I think there's little doubt though that it is going to be a Soul style game. I think, but then again, I mean, I guess they've teased it quite heavily, but like, we don't know for sure that this is like a full game and it's not like an iOS game or something.
I have read speculation that it's a card game.
Yeah, I heard this too.
Yeah,
I don't know, like I don't want to go in being like, this is definitely the next Souls game.
Yeah,
and it'd be like, get it on your mobile today, and you're like, no.
Oh my god, can you imagine if Sony at E3 are like, Bloodborne 2, and it's available right now on iOS.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's Prepare to Dine. What else has happened this week?
So Nintendo have cancelled, discontinued the NES Classic Edition. This was the little NES box that you could get.
And I think I speak for everyone ever when I say, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? How does this make any sense? Like, Nintendo seemed to hit a perfect 1-2 with hardware. They had an NES that everyone seemed to want, that was in huge demand, that was Blue Ocean selling like a bitch, and a new console that was doing the same thing. What are they doing?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I think are interesting in this. Like, I've read that people were buying them and scalping them because they were so rare. People would buy them and sell them for more. And so maybe part of the reason why they're discontinuing it is they've realized that they could sell it much higher, but they're not going to get away with just changing it. You know, they have a new product. They'll release it at a much more reasonable price. No, sorry, not a much more reasonable, a much higher price. Because I've heard people are like buying them for 60 quid, selling them for 150 quid.
Yeah, they were going for a lot of money at the end.
Yeah, so I think they'll release. Maybe they'll release the next one. Maybe they'll release the SNES Classic Edition.
I've heard a couple of different things. The first thing I've heard is that they're doing this because backwards compatibility has just been sorted for the Switch. And so selling a piece of hardware that's dedicated to something the Switch can now do in software is a clash, and they don't want that, which makes a lot of sense. The other reason I've heard is because they were Blue Ocean selling literally because they didn't have the units produced, and that it was just not something they could keep doing. But I don't know that I believe either of them. I feel like backwards compatibility is something they've had down for a while. So I can't believe they've just got it fixed for the Switch.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's interesting. I think like this whole thing of, I don't really believe the idea of them not being able to produce them. That's the thing with me. I mean, they've been known to do this manufactured rarity. They keep stocks low, shops don't have any, and this keeps this like buzz around the thing for a certain amount of time. Yeah. But then Nintendo seems determined to like keep up that, unavailability. So I like they're a massive company. I don't trust that they can't make them. I don't believe that for a second. Yeah,
I'm with you. It's silly. Like, we know that they can produce the Switch. We know they can produce the Wii U. We knew that they could produce the Wii, and it works for them because there is a demand for the first few months where everyone wants a thing and they don't get the thing, so they want it more. But it shows that it undermines their ability to message something properly.
Definitely. So, next bit of news.
Please.
This is surprise news. So Payday 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought this was quite interesting because I feel like that was maybe like I would have put it into the section of games which are too much for the Switch.
Mm.
While we have seen good games on the Switch, I thought the limit would be maybe before, Payday 2 and like its games that are kind of exceeding it would be kind of out of reach. So it's kind of quite interesting to see maybe the Switch has more power than I thought. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what it looks like and how it plays.
I think what we're going to see as Payday 2 on the Switch is probably not what we're used to as Payday 1, Payday 2 everywhere else.
Yeah.
During the reveal during that Nintendo Direct, which was a very confusing Nintendo Direct generally, but during the reveal in that Nintendo Direct, the way that it was messaged was most of the content from Payday 2.
Yeah.
Which is like saying some of it's not there.
So people are quite angry at Payday 2's makers.
Starbreeze, right?
Yes. Payday 2 was never fully finished as it was. Classically, in Payday 2, there's a tutorial where it's like, this is your base, and as you complete the game, you can upgrade your base and like make your pad look cool. None of that's in the game. That's not a feature of the game. So people are quite angry at Payday 2's developers because it was meant to kind of improve as it went along, but actually they just released more DLCs, more cost, and so this is an interesting move, and some people are quite angry about it.
Yeah, I've seen mixed things. I've not really seen anything positive about it. It's a really weird one because I don't know how good a fit it is for that console. Like, it's a very good multiplayer game. Me and yourself have played it a few times together, I think. And it's a very good cooperative team game, but not necessarily in the way that you expect of a Switch.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because it's weird to sort of expect Switch to do what all the other consoles are doing, but without the same kind of games, right? But like when we were talking about Overwatch, was it last week I think it was last week? And Overwatch potentially coming to Switch. I was like, yeah, okay, I could kind of see that fitting. It's got that right feel, and it's very cooperative and very hardcore, but I could play it in a more casual way. Whereas Payday 2, you kind of can't. If you play it in that casual way, the brick wall that you'll come up against is so fast that it really is. It limits the experience quite a lot, and that's true of Overwatch as well. But there's been so much free content added to that it's expanded that wall quite quickly. Whereas Payday 2, as you say, was a great deal of DLC, and so as a result, I wonder whether this will be a kind of Switch Game of the Year version, where like a great deal of that is packed in so it can fit to a more casual audience, but it's not the full game. Because the other thing I saw as well was that the graphics didn't look the same. It almost looks cel-shaded from that trailer, I thought, anyway, and that may have just been the quality of the Nintendo Direct I was watching, but it really didn't look like the game I remembered. And so I wonder whether this is like a Switchified version of a thing. But I must say, it's pretty cool to see Nintendo going out and getting a game like that. Not only because it's not something I expected, but it's not the third party I expected.
Yeah, definitely. So, next bit of news.
Go for it.
It's a bit of a rumour, but AMD showed some artwork at an event for launching their new series of cards, and they may have leaked Halo 3 for being on the PC, or a version of Halo 3 on the PC, some the special super duper edition.
Yeah.
And this is something that I'm very excited for.
Oh, really?
Because I think so. Because like, for one, everyone thinks Halo 3 is the best Halo, pretty much. Or it's close, but it's up there for sure. especially for its multiplayer. And I think if they do a big launch on something like the PC, and it'll be PC and Xbox One, and hopefully they'll do the whole cross. What do you call it? Like
play
internet.
Everywhere.
Yeah, play everywhere. That's it. And I think it could be really cool. I mean, Halo 3. Well, I want to play Halo 3 on PC. I want to play it on Xbox now. So, and especially if it kind of had the community again, I would be very happy for it.
Yeah, there's been rumours floating about of a Halo 3 anniversary for a long, long while, and we are 10 years away from the original release of Halo 3, so it is the right time frame. And of course, we do have a new Microsoft console launching this year, so it does make sense that a beloved game like Halo 3 gets a massive 4K remaster, launches the Scorpio and comes out on PC. And actually, from a tactics standpoint, if they launch it on the PC and go, here's it doing on Xbox Scorpio what it can do on Ultra settings on the PC, whether that's through a little bit of, fiddling on the PC version or the actual power of the Scorpio, that's a really powerful kind of way to launch the console.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, this has been talked about for a while, but not talked about from a PC side, and AMD sort of biting into that rumour, it really gives it kind of ground to stick. So maybe pin this one in the board for E3. It seems like this is something that we'll probably see there released quickly after.
Yeah, I imagine so. And as you say, it's a very good thing to do. I mean, take Call of Duty Modern Warfare re-release, which could have been this amazing thing, and it kind of wasn't because of the way that they handled it. But if Microsoft do it well and it is coming, then I think that'll be very good, and it'll be received quite well.
Now, here's the perfect way they handle it, right? Here's the perfect way they handle it. They don't announce Halo 3 for the PC. What they do is announce the Halo Master Chief Collection for the PC, and then go, and now it includes Halo 3 Anniversary, which you can download right now for your Xbox One as well. And you laugh!
Yeah.
But it's been rumoured for 2 or 3 years that this is happening.
I hope it is.
343 have been working on something since Halo 5.
I hope it is,
and it
because
wasn't Wars.
Anything is better than more Halo games. Just Halo 7 is not a thing that I want to see happen.
No,
Halo 6.
Neither is Halo 6.
But yeah, let's just...
I don't know. I kind of want to see them wrap up that trilogy. I'm kind of glad they've got that tentpole franchise. I want to see them lean on it less.
Yeah.
I want Halo to keep going, but I don't want it to be there that has something that has to be there every year for the Xbox to keep chugging on.
Yeah.
And this is the year where that could change with Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, whatever they announce at Microsoft's event. But it's going to undermine that slightly if they're like Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, and Halo 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe we're on the last piece of news.
There's one more.
Okay.
There's two.
See you next week.
So the Nintendo Switch has sold really well, selling over 906,000 units in the US in March, and I think apparently they've sold 2.4 million.
Jesus wept.
All together. So 2.4 million altogether.
2.4 million in a month and a bit.
Yeah, apparently so. So that's quite interesting. So it's sold probably the best of any console. Am I right in saying? Yeah,
Nintendo announced this week that the Switch was their biggest selling console in the opening months, and I wasn't sure that I believed it, but that is huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, I don't really know. God, I hope this doesn't have the tailspin of Wii, where it's...
I think it will.
Really?
I really do. I think, this is an example, I think, and we'll see, but the Wii sold massively and then nothing really happened to it, because it didn't have any games.
I mean, we've got to hope that Nintendo have learned from that. We've got to hope that they've built that kind of third-party support. And to be fair... the Wii was well supported until its last few years. It was just the interface that was a problem, and that interface won't be as much of a problem on the Switch. It's just the power of it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We'll see. But I mean, like, the problem is that the Switch is going to have is that, time and time again, we're going to get, massive cross-platform games that aren't going to be on the on the Nintendo Switch.
Mm.
So, this is the problem that Nintendo have, specifically in this case, is that Nintendo has to basically custom make all of their games. Any game that's on the Nintendo Switch is going to have to be made for the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Or be like a massive tool down of like the game, and they'll have to really work for it,
Yeah.
And that's going to be their problem. I assume the alteration from go to like Xbox One to PS4 is pretty easy, but going from these consoles to Switch, I don't think so. So I don't know. Like, I would be honest, I'm actually quite shocked that so many people have bought into the Switch. Because for me, it's like a hard no until like they have more to show.
We said it last week, and I think it's very true that Zelda is going to be a massive catalyst for that game, for that console. You're right.
Sorry. Weirdly, though, in the US, they sold 906 consoles with 925 copies of Breath of the Wild. So they sold 19,000 more Breath of the Wild than they did consoles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How?
Because, okay, you joke, but that does make sense, because there will be people who buy the console separately to the game. There'll be people who lost... It's a cartridge, remember? There'll be people who lost their copies of the game.
Yeah.
There are people who bought... So there's the game and the... So I've got to get this right, but I think it's 82% of Switches at this point own a copy of Zelda. And so it's those people either catching up, or the people replacing their original copies, or buying it for friends.
Yeah.
Or it's those individual little purchases.
Okay, fair dues. But yeah, so it sold very well. Again, I think probably still hold off. Nintendo has to have something at E3, so let's hope they do, because...
The Nintendo Direct was good for it. ARMS still looks really weird.
I don't think good enough, though. Like, Nintendo... This whole thing of they have to custom make all their games is going to be like the death of the Switch, unless they go, here's this, and this that's amazing. That aren't made directly by us, or aren't... I don't know. And ARMS, I was reading into people that were really excited for ARMS, and I was just like, what is your life?
It feels... We're at that point in the year where everything you have to say, oh, just wait for E3. And it feels kind of disingenuous to keep saying, oh, just wait for E3. But... Like, Nintendo are either going to pull something good out of the bag at E3, like they've done a few times before, or they're going to do what they did for the last couple of E3s, where they have themselves made out of Muppets, and they're talking about Star Fox. And it's like, okay, this is kind of different and very Nintendo, but I don't get why I should buy your console yet. And they can't keep doing that. Like, they have to learn at some point.
Yeah. They have to say, here's stuff. Because, what I don't understand is, they must watch the other shows and go, Sony's is better, Microsoft's is better. Clearly. You must notice this. Emulate this, I don't know.
But I think as well as that, they must see it in their business. I get that they're a Japanese company, and so in that sense, the stakeholder relationship is very different, and it's very individual in a way that it won't be in Sony. Even though Sony are a Japanese company, they have a great deal of American stakeholders, and certainly Xbox. But there must be pressure to compete against those two consoles, and so there must be pressure to be on the same platform as them to some extent. And so, it's going to be really sad when Nintendo does fail, because that will be a truly unique voice in the gaming industry that won't be present there. You know, at that point, E3 will become everyone in blazers and sports coats talking about how, you know, No Man's Sky 2 is the most revolutionary thing ever. But there is something that makes it feel like Nintendo is lagging behind not having that kind of polish. And I think I'd rather have a Nintendo I could bank on being good than a Nintendo I could bank on being unique.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of always been my perspective on it, is that there's nothing stopping Nintendo from coming out and being like, here's a powerful console, you know, and I think because they've put themselves in this kind of weird position, you know, because they come up with a unique console that requires special, like, tooling, I don't know, hopefully they'll make it work. Because it's always good to have more competition, but, like, in terms of numbers, I guess, from what we've seen so far, it might actually be competition somehow.
Well, I mean, it's definitely competition. They need literally a year and a half of those numbers, and they've beaten Xbox. So,
yeah, it's not a position that Xbox
basically.
wants to see them. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like, that's just really interesting, and I think, like, in some ways, I guess I don't want, in the same sense, I guess I don't want Nintendo to win because they need to learn, potentially. Like, the problem is, though, you have to think of this. In a world where Nintendo does really well, and the Switch becomes, like, the best-selling console in the world, what's the next, like, Xbox going to look like? What's the next PS4 going to look like? You know, PlayStation going to look like?
Dude, I totally disagree. I can't fucking wait until the next Xbox is a Switch. I just want it to be the Xbox. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Xbox Scorpio 2 or whatever has a screen that I can pick up and take away. Like, if I can have to barely look up to cross the road because Sunset Overdrive 2 is too good, that's fantastic. Yes, I'm all in.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what if the Xbox becomes this gimmick console? You know, I mean, yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying. I don't know if I agree, but I can see what you're saying.
I think one of the things that keeps consoles vital is that they have the opportunity to do things and take risks that sometimes PCs don't. And Switch is something that is very clearly taking that risk and very clearly has that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I hope that...
I don't know if Microsoft is committed to keeping the Xbox a unique thing, personally, but I mean, we can have an hour talk on this, but like, it feels like they're going more towards, like, the next Xbox just being a PC.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
And so that's kind of interesting as well.
Anyway, what's the next piece of news, my friend?
Last bit of news, 10 hours later. So Star Wars Battlefront has a full-length reveal trailer. It's got a release date of November 17th, coming to PS4, Xbox One, and on Origins on PC. It's got a story mode of the prequel trilogy, and, you know, it looks good. Now, Battlefront was a little bit... what's the word? It was contended a bit. It wasn't, like, entirely well received. Some people really liked it, some people didn't really like it. It had some issues on launch. So hopefully they've kind of sorted it, and this is like a much improved, much more worked out game with the content. And like Battlefront 1 had a really good trailer, this has got a really good trailer and it looks awesome. And also, like, something that I think is worth mentioning is that the trailer looks beautiful, but just like for Battlefront 1, the trailer looked beautiful, and then the game actually looked like that.
Yes, and that's something that I really wanted to pick up is the Battlefront 2 trailer looks great, and it looks exactly, I would say, as Battlefront 1's trailer did. I, at no point, got the feeling that could not be run, that could not be done, or that it was sacrificing anything. Like, I feel like 2 and a bit years down the line, the kind of progression they'll have made with this engine has meant that this won't be a trade-off. It won't be the shiny engine graphics in place of something else. And it wasn't that in the case of Battlefront 1. It was just that it clearly took them a lot of time, and that's why there was a very sparse amount of content in the game. And in the same way, it wasn't that in Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 had a really great story. It had big maps. It had clever gameplay mechanics. It was well put together. And if this is the next step of that engine, holy shit, yes, please. Yes, give me all that Star Wars goodness in a package that's expanded in a different way. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, reading this this press page that they've got, it looks really interesting. I mean, the idea that we're going to have all the different trilogies represented. There's over 40 heroes, I think they said. Oh no, 40 characters. There's loads of different heroes. I look forward to playing Jar Jar Binks versus. But yeah, loads of different characters from all the different series, and hopefully they'll do loads of different battles with different, different soldiers, different sides who can be clones versus droids.
Yeah,
which would be cool.
I love all the Battlefront games. I love the original Battlefront 2. I think I have put probably a couple 100 hours into it. It's one of my favourite games of all time. And I think if we are ever going to get what was planned to be Battlefront 3, we're a long way away from it. But I like this as the next step. I don't like the story campaign. I've said that for a very long time. I don't need a story in Battlefront. I just need a very strong, very, very tight mechanical game where I feel like I'm contributing to a big battle. I never played instant action in Battlefront 1 or 2 because I wanted to know the story. I played through the campaign in Battlefront 2 because it was there, but what I wanted was to start a battle with no progress, finish a battle with a huge amount of progress, and feel like I'd been part of the minutiae of it. And that's great. I really hope there's some kind of galactic conquest mode to this, like there was in Battlefront 2, where it's like a kind of board game where you work through the universe. That would be great. But the interesting thing about Battlefront 2 is that there is no season pass. Yeah. They've come out quite clearly at the start of the year, at the start of all of this, and said Battlefront 2 will not have a season pass at any point. Now, I just bought the season pass for Battlefront 1. It's on sale right now on Xbox, and I think it's a great purchase. It was considerably cheaper than it's supposed to be, so that paid into it to some extent. But I think there's a good amount of content there, and it really bolsters up a game that was, fairly sparse at launch. Lewis, the question I want to put to you is: this is EA, right? Mm-hmm. This is the company that's famed for being, a little bit shady with their season passes, a little bit shady with player expectations, and they're coming out the door and saying, nope, Battlefront 2 will not have one of these. Are we seeing the start of the death of the season pass?
Yes, definitely, potentially. I mean, it's something that could definitely happen. It's probably quite likely because I think the season pass, maybe it simplified this whole process, and I think the alternative is probably maybe worse though. I think we're going to see more and more microtransactions. I know we can dream of this world where Star Wars Battlefront 2 is going to be this complete game with all of the features and all of the lovely things put into it, but I'm willing to bet that we don't. I'm willing to bet that we have a very nice transaction-y shop where it's get your your red lightsabers here, get your you want your gun to fire lasers, that's this one, I don't know, I think it's probably quite likely. As long as actually I don't mind if they do say what maybe Titanfall did, something to a level where we're kind of saying, actually Titanfall didn't have DLC, but something where we get to a level where we're going the maps, you can play the maps, but if you want to make your character look cooler, here's the DLC microtransaction shop. I'm fine with that. The problem that Battlefront 1 had is they went, well, you might know this better than I do, but here's a certain number of maps. Not that many. You want more DLC. Here's your Hoth DLC. whatever. Like, they need to nip this in the bud and just be like, it's a complete game on launch. And it works, actually, because Battlefront, EA's Battlefront had a bad launch.
I mean, yeah, I can't remember anything particularly bad about its launch, but I might be remembering wrong. Was it notably bad?
It crashed a lot. It didn't function.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
I mean bad in the sense that like it had some serious like non-working issues during the launch.
Oh, okay. Was it at that time at the beginning of this generation where it was like, and servers are down? Okay, fair enough. I think I kind of agree and disagree with you. The reason that season passes were implemented in the first place is because and this gets kind of into the nasty businessy stuff, so let's sort of jump into the nasty stuff. Game companies make more money the longer you own a game, right? Because the sooner you don't own a game, their opportunity to sell you something is gone, right? It's like owning a car. The longer you own a car, the more bits break of it, the more you want it to look shinier, so the more likely you are to pick up a new paint job or a new tyre when something breaks. And in the same way, the sooner you sell that car for a newer model, the sooner the original model has less opportunity to get you to buy a new tyre. And in the same way, nowadays, companies make you keep a game because they make you either stick to the franchise, which makes you buy the next one or have interest in the next one, or they sell you more DLC or packs because there is a part of the game you're missing, or because there's a part of the game that's sort of separating you from the ultimate experience of what it could be. Now, there are very good examples of this and very bad examples of this. There are examples like, I'm trying to think, actually, Battlefront 1 is a pretty good example of the bad kind, where the player base was split so hugely because of that DLC. If you own the base game, you can't play any of the weapons, characters, skins, upgrades, paths, maps from the rest of the game. But other people can. So if there's a 12-player multiplayer battle which goes from Hoth in the base game to the Death Star in a playlist, you're kicked out of that playlist, or you're told you can't join it in the first place, which is hugely detrimental. I mean, you think you put down £30 on a game, log in, press A, and the first thing you're greeted with is, sorry, you can't play that. It immediately faces you with the, well, why did I bother playing for this in the first place kind of conundrum. The way companies have been getting around that recently is by taking away season passes and instead giving people freemium reasons to stick to a franchise. Overwatch is a perfect example of how it's done well. Overwatch, you pay for the base game, and if you're like me, you like the skins. You like the skins and you want the other skins, but they're not game defining. I haven't paid anything more for Overwatch. Now, I bought Overwatch for £35 when it came out, and I would say I've got probably 200 hours of content out of that game. That's incredible. I know people who have bought loot boxes and it's improved their game because they prefer the shouts, they prefer the emotes, they prefer the skins, and that's good for them. But I haven't, and it's good for me too. And I think in that sense, that kind of player choice is perfect and totally the way to go. And I know for a fact that when Battlefront 2 drops, if it's all visual upgrades, I'm going to spend a shit ton of money on this game. Because, yeah, I want Luke Skywalker with his robot hand. Yes, I want Qui-Gon Jinn with robes rather than without. Yes, give me my childhood in a game.
Jar
but
Jar
that,
Binks.
like, see, you joke, but yeah, if I can pick Jar Jar Binks in the place of... Right? Like, I will do that.
Yeah.
And it's us that target market will be. But the aim is to not splinter the community, which is a good thing. The aim is to not give people reasons to get rid of the game, which is a good thing. I think this is a really healthy step for games. I think microtransactions need to be kept an eye of, and I think we need to be very careful about where they go and how they're monetized. But there are some clearly very good examples of it being done well, and if EA can follow suit, then I'm all in. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, and like, it's interesting to see, and I hope that the multiplayer experience of it and the single player experience are both just as good for this game, for Battlefront. I think like the way you have it is right. The way that it could be done, if they do it right, if they do, don't be too harsh on the microtransactions in the DLC. Then yeah, it could be amazing. And like, I don't know if they will because it's EA, and I don't trust EA.
No, and I think you're right to have that. Right as you were saying it, you had this kind of heavy sigh. But you're right to do that because EA don't have a particularly great track record of not selling season passes, of not underselling content or overselling content, and Battlefront is unfortunately a pretty good example of it. Like, Battlefront 1, for all that it's a great game, for all that I think it plays fantastically, and I think it's a good game in the Star Wars franchise, it was sparse when it launched, potentially deliberately so. It was sold quite expensively, and there's a very, very strong argument to be made about how truly the value of that game was represented. And so, yeah, EA don't have a track record with this, and so if what they're saying turns out to be true, hooray. Maybe it's all because Peter Moore's left to be the Vice Chancellor of Liverpool or whatever. Did you see that the other week? That's so weird. But like, yay, then I can't wait for this, but they need to kind of prove themselves again. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find. Maybe this will be the time that EA gets it right, and no one can like be angry at them, and it's perfect. And maybe.
But I think
there's potential though.
Right, and I think what you're saying, whilst we're saying it with a kind of jokey tone, is actually really important. I think we do need to keep this open mind that EA have a very powerful franchise on their hands, and we don't need to trust them every time, but we do need to give them the opportunity to prove themselves right again. And they've tried to do it. They tried to do it with Mirror's Edge by taking that risk on that franchise. They tried to do it with Titanfall 2 by not splitting the player base so that everyone can play the maps in circulation. They are trying to make those strides, I think. So we don't have to trust them out the gate, but we certainly have to be willing to let them earn our trust. And I think that's a really strong lesson for games in the industry moving forward generally.
Yeah, definitely.
But as much as it may be disingenuous to say it, it is unfortunately true. No matter what this game turns out to be, no matter when it happens, no matter what it looks like, the next time we'll get any kind of information, E3. So wait till then. Yeah,
but I think we're going to see a lot of it. But that should be pretty cool. I'm happy to see it, and it'll be nice to see it launch with the space battles, and I think there'll be some cool stuff there. Because that's the bit that I'm more interested in, I'll be honest with you. Space battles, that's where it's at.
I will say, the space battles in the DLC are fantastic. Like, I hated the combat battles, the low air combat battles in the base game. I really didn't like them. The Death Star space battles are amazing. Like, they're so good.
It looks really good. Yeah, and if we can have space battles from all the rest of the games, that would be cool. I do think this is the problem, though. This kind of, I don't want to drone on about it too much, but this brings us back to the thing. If Star Wars Battlefront 2 is like the definitive Star Wars original series, prequel series, new series, like game, then there is a lot of content there, and it's quite possible that they could go, we can make infinite content for this game and sell it all.
Yes, but there is also the opportunity for them to say, so there's the opportunity for them to go, here's the Naboo pack, buy the Naboo pack.
Yeah.
But there's also the possibility of them going, here is the Naboo expansion, which comes with 24 extra skins.
Yeah.
And if the Naboo DLC pack happens, that's a shame. But if the game's good enough, I'm willing to give it a go. if the Naboo expansion happens and it's free, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, we say this every week, but I can't wait to see this at E3.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I really hope it's on the show floor at EGX in September.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because it was that year when we went, the queues. Oh, no, we did get our hands on it a couple of times, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
That was good fun. Right. Well, that wraps up the week and the death of the season pass. So that wraps us up then. Thank you very much for joining me.
Been good.
Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it, and we wonder, do you think the season pass is dying? Well, you're always welcome to let us know what you think. The best place to do that is in our Facebook, which you can find in the description. It's Games Upcast, or our Twitter, which will be freshly tweeting because I fixed it a little bit. That is in the description below. And if you want to catch all the episodes we do, we put one of these out 6:30 every Monday. So make sure that you subscribe to it because we'd hate you to miss anything, and we'd love it if you joined us. Thank you again. What are you playing this week, Lewis?
Being an adult. The game. Life. I don't know. Maybe I'll play something. I don't know. We'll see.
I love that every week.
Nothing too focused.
But every week you're like, I'm going to be playing Growing Up this week, and then I ask the week after, what did you play? And you're like, Witcher, and Dark Souls. Forever
a child. I don't think it'll change anytime soon, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I think this week, me and my girlfriend are on the brink of breaking The Witness, however breakable it is, because the deeper I get into it, I wonder about what's in there, but don't tell me anything. Maybe I'll have something to report back next week. And maybe it will just make me cry about circle puzzles everywhere. So until then, I guess the game's up. Bye.